Hi there, my name is Abu and welcome back. Up to this point, we haven't really used React to its full potential. That is because we haven't covered the two main concepts of React that make it really powerful. That is the props and the state. So in this video, we will cover the props and cover the state in the next video. So props is just a special keyword in React that stands for properties, and it is used to pass data from one component to another. As we started this whole video tutorial, I mentioned that React is a component-based library. It divides the user interface into small reusable pieces. The keyword here is reusable. We haven't really reused any piece just yet, and these pieces are the components. From the products component, like this container here, we have this card. So in React, we are not supposed to create one card like this and then create another card. Basically, this is supposed to be a component, and then we reuse this component 1,000 times. Let's imagine we were creating an e-commerce website and we have 1,000 products. We cannot create 1,000 cards like this. We have to create one component that defines a product. That means an image and a title and description and this button here. So one component, it defines this, and then we reuse that component anywhere else we want to display a specific product. Without wasting any time, let me show you props in action. In our components folder, so I'll create a new component here. So let's assume I'm creating a simple application that displays a list of people with their hobbies and their age. From our extension, React arrow function component, and we want it to be exported. For example, I'm going to say my name is Abu. So I'm going to save this. Back at my app.js, let me comment this out for now, these two lines, control and /, comment those two lines out. And now I want to call this person component. So from the top, and I'm going to call it down here, person component, self-closing tag, and save this. So back to my application, I should see my name is Abu, just like that. So I've only created one person. So let's imagine I want to create multiple people. Let's say I want to create 5 people. I don't have to create 5 other components, just create 5 people, or a list that says my name is Abu, my name is Alan. I don't have to do that. I can use one component to create multiple persons. Let me show you how this works. So in my person component, so this person component should take a parameter, and this parameter is the props. And this props is the object that receives the data from another component. Let me show you. So for example, I want to create 2 people using this same component. I will remove this, and in curly braces, since this is going to be logic or dynamic code, any dynamic code, if you want to put it in JSX, you put it in curly braces like this. So I'm going to say props.name. So the props here is the object that is holding all the data that is being passed from another component, and this name is the data that is being passed from another component. So in this case, I'm going to pass data from the app component to the person component. So when I come to app.js, close this. When I'm calling person component, it's expecting a prop. So this prop is called name, like that. From the person component, this props is just the object, like I said, and the variable is the name. So in our component where we want to pass that data, we use that variable, which is the name, and then I'm going to give it the name that I want to display. For example, Abu. And now, if I save this, and I save this as well, back to my application, we should see the same result. It will still say my name is Abu. But we have dynamically passed this name Abu. We haven't hard coded the name Abu in person component like it was before, but we have passed that name Abu from app.js here into person component.js. So if I want to create another person, I will just copy this line of code and I can change this to another name, for example, Alan. And when I save this, I should see two people here. My name is Abu and my name is Alan. So basically, this is the reusability of the user interface pieces that we are talking about. So I created one component and I called it person.js. So using the same person component, I can create multiple people. Let me show you. Shift and Alt and down arrow. I can rename this too. So when I save this and back to my application, I should see other people here as well. So you can see this is basically how we reuse these components, and this is really, really powerful. And it doesn't stop here. Let's say these people have ages. Back to my application in person.js. So my name is this, and I can say, and I am something years old. And then I'll say props.age. So this is the variable again that we are picking from the props, which is receiving the data from the app.js component, or rather anywhere we are using this person component. When I save this and I come back to the app.js module, so it's expecting age. So I'll say age equals to, if it's a string like a name, you put it in quotes like this. But if it's a number like age, you put it in curly braces. So Abu is 20. So when I save this in my application, I should say my name is Sophia and I'm 40 years old. So I have created 6 people, and using one component, I have reused this person component to create 6 people using the same component. That is very, very powerful, and that's what the reusability bit of React comes in. And it doesn't just stop here. So far we have used a self-closing tag, but what if we wanted to pass dynamic code to this person component? The props has a special key called children. So props.children. When you're using this children property of the props to pass data, you don't use the self-closing tag. For example, I remove the self-closing tag and I open another tag up here, and then I close person component. So anything that comes between the two tags becomes the child of this person component. Let me show you. So for example, Sophia loves to play tennis. So when I save this, you should see this in action. And there you go. So this becomes the child of that component, and this is a dynamic code that we have passed into this person component as a prop, and it also becomes part of the data that we are passing to this person component.js. This is really, really powerful. And there's no limitation to this dynamic code. We can add here a tag, for example, h1, put this back. So when I save this, what do you know? I have a tag, and it is an h1 tag. So it doesn't really matter what we pass as a child. We can even pass another component here. For example, let me pass in products component like that. So when I save this, in this, my name is Sophia, these products that we created from the last video becomes the child of this component here, and it's being passed as data through app.js. I'll just take this back to, and I love playing tennis. So when I save this, this is more clear and it's more neat. Now I want us to see what type this prop is. From this point on, we shall start debugging our code. So the easiest way to debug code is to post something in the console. Let me show you. So console.log props. So let's see what type of data we receive from this prop. In our application, we right click and inspect this page. And when I go to my console, I should see an object. If I inspect this object, I should see it has age and it has name. So if I look at the next one also, it should have age and name. So these are the 6 people that we created, and the prop that we logged in our console, we can see it's an object. So all of them have the same since they are 6, so they have objects in there. And now let me show you, since this is an object, we can destructure an object. So in JavaScript, we can destructure objects like this. So since we know for certain that we are expecting name and age in this prop, we can say constant, and in curly braces, we are expecting name and we are expecting age from props like that. So this is object destructuring in action. If you know for certain what you're expecting from an object, you can destructure it like this. When we want to use this name and age, we don't have to say props.name, props.age. We can just say now name, because we have destructured it from the props. We can remove this. Also, we can say children, and we don't have to say props.children as well, like this. We can remove that. And when I save this, I should get the same result. And you can see down here, what I'm getting from the console is even easier to read. I have name is Alan and age is 50. I really don't prefer using this style of destructuring, because when my application grows or when this component is a little bit complex, I like to know for certain that this is a prop or this is some other dynamic variable that I created within my component. I'll take this back to props.name. Again, you can use any method you want. I will leave this here for your reference. You can use it if you want. So I'll save this and I should have the same result. Just having a prop like this is really not enough. When your application grows, you might start to receive a few bugs. That's why you need to include type checking in your props. So, and this concept is called prop types. And from the official documentation, you can read all of this at your own time, but this is how we check for these prop types. Like in short, for example here, a name, we expect this name to be string. So we have prop types like a number, an object, a string, symbol, a boolean, or an array. So these are the prop types that we can do, or the prop types that we can check before using it in our application. So let me show you how this works. First things first, there's a note up here. We have to install a package to use in our application. So I'll just click this. This is the package that we have to install, and you can see it's very, very popular. It has 11 million downloads every week. Click here to copy and back to my application. In the terminal, right click to paste and install prop types. Anything that might require passing data or user inputting data, validation is very, very important. You should never trust the users, because a user might be a hacker who wants to harm your application, and they might send a very long string and that will slow down your application. But if you put checks somewhere, maximum number of characters, it should be a string, it should be a number. That is very, very important. Since that has finished installing, so in person.js, we have to check for the prop types. How do we use this? It's very easy here. From the top, we are going to import prop types from prop types. You can actually copy this line of code, copy, and in my application from the top, I'm going to paste this there. And now I want to use this to validate this name and age. So back to the official documentation, this is how we use prop types. The name of the function and then prop types. I want you to notice the lowercase p here. And then when we are validating the specific prop, that's when we use the uppercase P and the validation here. So back to my application, after the function, I'm gonna say person component dot prop type like that, then equals to, and this is going to be an object. So my first prop is name, and this name, now the prop comes with the uppercase P, so prop types dot, and there are so many prop types as you can see. There's a number, it's an object, a string, or a symbol. But in this case, I want name to be a string. And then you can go ahead and also say this if you want it to be is required. You give it a length, give it a name if you wanted to, but we don't want to use any of this. So I'll just leave it as string, and then age is number. So before this name or age is used, it has to be validated. The data that is being sent, is it a string? If it's a string, it will be used up here. If it's a number, it will also be used up here. So basically, this is props in action, and this is how we pass data from one component to another. And this passing data from one component to another is what brings in the reusability of React. It is crucial that you really understand the props and how it works. So in your next quiz, I want you to create a component that defines this product in our imaginary e-commerce website, and reuse that one component and give our application the same exact look as before. So pause this video, spend about 10 to 15 minutes doing this, and come back and look at my solution. So in my solution, first things first, I'll need to create a new component. I don't need this first component, second component, and third component. So I can just delete this. We won't need them anymore. In this components folder, I'll create a new file. So React arrow function component, and I want it to be exported like that. From the top, I need to import something from react-bootstrap, and I'm importing a card, and I'm also importing a button. In the products, I will just copy this card. I don't need to go to the official documentation anymore. So I'll copy this card, Control-C, and paste it here. Since I'm expecting some data, I'll have to add in a parameter here, call it props, and just a few places to change. Since it's going to be dynamic code in JSX, is going to be in curly braces. Props.title, that's the title of the product. And down here, I'll also remove this, and JSX dynamic code. So props.description, and when I save this, so I have the card title, it's expecting data, and the text is also expecting data. And if you noticed, this is also expecting data because I can't have only one shot. So I'll also get here props.image. So when I save this, I have now this product card component, and I can reuse this in my application. So back to products component. I don't need this anymore. I can remove this card all the way up here. I don't need it. So on the top, I need to first import this component. And now down here in this column, I want to use that products component, product card component, self-closing tag. But this component expects data in the form of, let's just check, in form of image, title, and description. So in my products component, I expect here image. So image will be equal to, again, this is dynamic code. So I'll have here shirt, and then I also expect title here. Since this is a string, I have it as shirt, and then I have description. This is also a string. I can say this is a great shirt. Save this. In app.js, I need to bring back the product component. So comment these ones out. And then I want to bring back these two lines. So when I save this, I should see the same exact look as before. For the rest of this, so back to my product component, I'm gonna remove this card as well. I don't need it. Product card component again here, self-closing tag, and I have image. It's expecting image as the data, and this image is shoes. And title, it's a string, shoes, and description. And on the third product as well, I'll remove this product card component, self-closing tag, and I have here image, pants, and title, pants, and description. So save this. And now back to my application. What do you know? Everything we're now receiving is coming from the props, and this looks much better. If you look at now my product component, it's very neat. So the main focus of product component is just to display this product. So we can reuse this product component in 1,000 places. We don't have to write every product on its own. We just have to define one card that will be the basis of any product that we want, and then we use props to pass in the data that will be displayed in our product or in our imaginary e-commerce website. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you can now clearly start to understand how React is very powerful. So in the next video, we will introduce the state. Until then, stay hungry and stay foolish.